She said, all my friends think you're controlling for not wanting to share me. So I packed her bag. Now she's single like her high school friend and those other divorced women she listened to. They called it freedom. I called it the yin of our marriage. I still remember the first time I met Dana. We were both 22, folding jeans and dodging cranky customers during a Black Friday shift at Kohl's. She made some snarky comment about a woman fighting over a crock pot, and I laughed harder than I should have. We were slammed with people. The store was chaos. But that moment stuck with me. 2 weeks later, we went for coffee. A month later, we were inseparable. My name's Travis. I'm 30 now. I live just outside Dayton, Ohio, in a neighborhood where everyone waves, but nobody talks too much. I've been working construction since I was 24, nothing fancy, mostly residential, and some light commercial jobs. Dana's in advertising. She landed a steady job at a local firm after college, doing digital campaigns for small businesses around town. We got married after dating for 3 years, and life was easy. I mean that in a good way. We were the couple people forgot to ask about, because we never had drama. Friday nights were pizza on the couch. Saturdays, if the weather was nice, we'd sit around the fire pit in the backyard with a couple beers and cheap marshmallows. Sundays were always coffee runs. Her in her hoodie, me still half asleep, driving around just to kill time before the week started. Dana used to joke about it, especially when we saw her friends' lives falling apart on Facebook. We're perfectly uneventful, she'd say, with this big grin like we'd won something. She'd roll her eyes at her friend Bree's endless posts about Tinder guys or Tasha's latest breakup rants. God, I'm so glad we're not out there, she'd say. Dating is like walking barefoot through a field of broken glass now. Quick note, before we start, how's your day going and where are you joining from? The first year of marriage was smooth. The second was calmer. By year 3, we had our rhythms down. She'd steal my hoodies. I'd warm up her car in the winter. We weren't flashy. We didn't post anniversary countdowns or brag about each other on Instagram. But we showed up. Every single day, I'd get home with concrete dust still in my hair, and she'd be curled up on the couch, wine glass in hand, watching whatever trash reality show was her flavor of the month. I'd kiss her forehead, take a quick shower, and sit next to her like it was all we ever needed. She said it 100 times. We're boring, and I love that. So yeah, maybe I got comfortable. Maybe we both did. But when you think you're building a life with someone, comfort isn't a weakness. It's the goal. Until it wasn't. Then Kelsey moved back. It started harmless. Dana mentioned her old high school friend was back in town after a messy breakup. Something about the fiancé cheating with a coworker. I didn't think twice when she invited her over for a catch-up night. Next thing I knew, Kelsey was showing up every weekend. She didn't come alone, either. She brought her circus, 2 newly single friends, Bree and Tasha. Both loud, both always on their phones, both jumping from one dating app to the next like it was a game. The first time they came over, I figured it was a one-off. Girls' night, some wine, whatever. I stayed inside and watched the game. But it didn't stop. Every weekend started turning into girls-only nights. Sometimes at our place, sometimes out at bars. I'd come home from work and find wine bottles in the trash, half a pack of cigarettes on the porch, and the faint smell of vanilla vape still hanging in the air. They were loud, always laughing too hard at nothing, sitting cross-legged on our patio furniture like they owned the place. I'd say hey, in passing, grab a beer, and vanish into the bedroom. After a while, Dana started coming home different. Not bad, just revved up, buzzing, talking fast, eyes wide. She'd walk in the door and immediately launch into whatever wild story Bree told that night. Some Tinder date who showed up in gym shorts. Some bartender Tasha went home with who still lived with his mom. One night, Dana kicked off her shoes at the door, dropped her bag, and said, Bree matched with a guy who has a separate apartment just for hookups. Isn't that insane? I raised an eyebrow. Why would anyone need that? She shrugged. Some people just want variety. Then she laughed and walked off. It didn't sit right. A few nights later, we were lying in bed, lights off, both staring at the ceiling. She rolled over and said, Don't you ever wonder what it's like to be with someone else? My stomach dropped. I turned toward her. No, I don't. I already chose you. That's kind of the point, isn't it? She was quiet. Then she said, Just curious. Everyone wonders. No, I said, sharper than I meant. Everyone doesn't. Quick silence. Then she turned away and mumbled something I didn't catch. The next weekend, they were back. I heard them laughing outside. Tasha was ranting about some guy ghosting her. Kelsey said, Men are disposable. That's the secret. I stood at the kitchen sink, rinsing a plate, and froze. Dana laughed. Not polite laughter, real laughter. Something had shifted. She started wearing different clothes when she went out. Heels, tight jeans she hadn't touched in over a year. New lip gloss. I asked where she was going once, and she said, It's just dinner. Relax. But it wasn't just dinner. It was a whole new vibe. She'd get home later and later, toss her purse on the counter, and start talking like I was her roommate, not her husband. I heard more about her friends' sex lives than anything about her job or her day. I tried to keep things normal. I'd order our usual pizza on Fridays. She'd say, "Oh, I already ate with the girls." I'd ask if she wanted to do a bonfire. She'd say she was too tired. I sat alone with the flames one night, poking at embers with a stick, and caught her reflection in the sliding door behind me, scrolling, smiling at her phone, glass of wine in hand. When she did talk to me, it was like a secondhand version of Kelsey. Settling too young is a trap. Relationships need breathing room. You can't grow if you're stuck. She wasn't just quoting them. She was becoming them. I told her once, "We used to laugh at all this stuff. Now you're repeating it like gospel." She didn't even deny it. Just said, "People change." Yeah, no kidding. It wasn't just the clothes. Yeah, Dana started wearing tighter tops, low-cut stuff she never used to bother with. Her hair was curled more, lipstick darker. But it wasn't just about looks. It was her whole energy. She'd take forever getting ready to see those girls, spritzing perfume like she was heading out on a date. I asked once, joking, "Are you trying to impress Kelsey or the waitstaff?" She shot me a look through the mirror. "I just want to feel good when I go out. Can I have that?" I didn't push, but I felt it. The space growing. The nights out turned into weekends away. She'd say, "We're doing a spa thing. Just Saturday night. I'll be back Sunday." Then Sunday would turn into late Sunday. Then almost midnight. I'd wake up to the garage door rumbling and her heels clicking down the hall like nothing was off. But it was off. One night, she came back buzzed and plopped onto the couch, still in her heels. "A guy at the bar offered to buy me a drink just because I smiled at him," she said, laughing like it was a comedy set. "Tasha told him I was married and he said, 'Your husband's a lucky man.'" I stared at the TV, didn't say anything. She leaned in. "Don't you think it's funny?" I finally turned to her. "Why is another guy flirting with you supposed to be funny?" She rolled her eyes. "Oh my God, it's harmless." That word, harmless, started getting tossed around like duct tape. Every conversation was getting patched over with it. A week later, she came home from a wine night and dropped another gem. Settling down this early is like putting yourself in a cage. That's what Bree says. I paused. "Are you quoting Bree now?" "She's not wrong," Dana said, kicking off her shoes. "You don't feel it? Like we're just stuck?" "We're not stuck. We've built something solid." She made a face like I'd just offered her a cold plate of broccoli. Solid isn't the same as happy. I stood there for a second. "What do you think we've been doing the last 3 years?" "Surviving." That word hit like a slap. "Dana," I said, "we've had goals. We've had a plan. You remember how proud we were to save for the down payment? Friday night pizzas, bonfires, Sunday coffee runs. You used to love those." "I did. But that was then," she said, voice low. "Now I need space to breathe." "To do what?" I asked. "What exactly are you trying to breathe into?" She didn't answer, just picked up her phone and walked into the bedroom. The next few days, she barely looked at me. She was always texting, laughing quietly, taking calls in the bathroom. She said things like, "You never want to try anything new," or "You've been in the same boots since high school." I mean, yeah, I work construction. What do you want me to do? Show up in dress shoes. It wasn't even about the boots. I knew that. It was about her feeling like she was missing out. Kelsey had infected her with this idea that commitment equals chains, that excitement only lives outside marriage, that chasing dopamine hits was the same thing as living. So I asked. I sat her down on the back patio one night, just the two of us. Fire pit glowing low, bottle of wine between us. "Dana, do you want out?" She blinked, surprised. "What?" "I'm asking if you want out. You've changed. You dress different, talk different. I don't even know if you like this life anymore." She looked down at her glass, swirled the wine. "I don't want out. I just want more." "More of what?" "Freedom, fun, possibilities." I leaned forward. "That's not what marriage is for. Marriage is choosing one thing, on purpose, and building with it." She said nothing, just stared into the fire like it might answer for her. She stared into that fire like it held the answer. A couple nights later, she came home early. No wine, no heels, no perfume cloud announcing her arrival. Just walked in, took off her jacket, and asked if we could talk. I sat down across from her at the kitchen table. Her hands were folded, her eyes serious. "I've been thinking," she started, voice calm like she was easing into a budget discussion. "And I want to talk about maybe opening things up." I blinked. "What?" She nodded slowly, like she was trying to guide me gently. "Our marriage. I mean, not ending it, just expanding it, giving ourselves space to explore." I stared at her, waiting for the punchline. "Nothing. You want to sleep with other people?" I asked, just to get perspective. She said, like that made it better. "See what's out there. No sneaking, no betrayal. We'd agree on boundaries. It's not cheating if it's mutual." I sat back, staring at the woman I married like I didn't even recognize her. You're seriously saying this to me right now? She leaned forward. It wouldn't change what we have. It's just a way to breathe a little. Reconnect with ourselves individually so we can come back stronger. Stronger? I laughed once, sharp and dry. That's how you think this works? Like a tune-up? You test drive other people and then come home to check if I'm still waiting on the lot? Her face dropped. Don't twist it. I'm not twisting anything, I snapped. You just asked me to let you sleep around so you can reconnect with yourself. It's not that simple, she said, voice tightening. It's exactly that simple. You either want this marriage or you don't, but you don't get both. You don't get me and the freedom to screw strangers on the side. She crossed her arms. Kelsey said you'd react like this. That hit harder than anything else. Kelsey, I repeated. Of course she did. She said it's controlling to shut down honest conversation. No, Dana. Controlling is telling someone they have to let you screw other people or else they're the problem. I'm telling you the truth. What you're asking for, isn't marriage. It's a fantasy your single friends cooked up to feel better about being alone. She stood up, pacing. It's not a fantasy. People do this. Plenty of couples are open and happy. And you think we're that couple now? I asked. You think after all we've built, the quiet life we made together, that you can just flip a switch and turn us into a hookup agreement? She didn't respond, just kept pacing. I can't believe this, I muttered, standing up. You used to mock this stuff? You used to say we were lucky to be out of the game. I was younger, she said. Maybe I didn't know what I really needed yet. No, I said, locking eyes with her. What you needed was stability, a partner, and now you're bored. So you want a hall pass to play catch up with your friends. She swallowed. It's just a conversation. No, I said. It's a damn proposal. One that tells me everything I need to know. Her jaw clenched. You're not even willing to talk about it. I am talking about it, I said. And I'm saying no. Marriage isn't a trial run. It's not a subscription you cancel when it stops being fun. The silence that followed was thick. She stared at me, breathing heavy. I saw it in her face. Defensive, angry, cornered. But I also saw something else. Doubt. I wasn't speaking to Dana anymore. Not really. I was talking to Kelsey, to Bree, to every echo of those nights on the patio. And the woman in front of me? She'd stopped being my wife the second she handed me that idea like it was a gift. A few days after that disaster of a conversation, she walked into the kitchen while I was making coffee and said it like she was reading off a weather report. I'm going to Vegas next weekend. Girls' trip. I set the mug down a little harder than I meant to. Excuse me. Me, Kelsey, Bree, and Tasha. 3 nights. We already booked the hotel. I turned to face her. You already booked it? Without talking to me? She shrugged like it didn't matter. It's not a big deal. It's just a getaway. I need this. I took a breath. We're saving for a second car, Dana. Remember that? The one you said you needed to get to work without depending on my truck? She waved that off. It's a few $100. I deserve to live a little. There it was again. That phrase. Live a little. You're telling me blowing through our savings for Vegas with 3 single women is what you call living? Her jaw tightened. Maybe I'll sleep with someone while I'm there. That was it. I didn't shout. I didn't throw anything. I just stood there for a second, letting it hang in the air like the reek of trash. Then I said, calm and clear, then you can do that as a single woman. She blinked like I slapped her. So that's it. You don't even care what I'm going through? No, I said. I care a lot. That's why I'm not going to stand here and let you torch our marriage in slow motion. You're being controlling again. I'm being married, I said. You want freedom? Take it. But don't expect to come back to the same house, same man, same life. That's not how this works. She scoffed. Wow, real mature. You know what? I said, brushing past her, heading down the hall. You want to go so bad? I'll help you pack. I pulled the suitcase from under the bed, unzipped it, and started folding clothes. Her favorite jeans, the heels she wore on wine nights, the red dress she thought made her look like a bad bitch. Her words, not mine. She followed me in, arms crossed. What are you doing? Giving you exactly what you want. You don't want to be here, Dana. You haven't wanted to be here for weeks. So don't fake it. You can't just decide I'm leaving. You already decided that. I'm just making it easier. She stood there watching me fold her clothes into that bag like I was breaking some unspoken rule. You're seriously doing this? She asked. I zipped it up. You want the door open? Then walk through it. She looked at the suitcase, then back at me. You're throwing everything away. No, I said. You did that the second you made Vegas your priority over us. She didn't yell. She didn't cry. She just stood there, jaw clenched, trying to hold power in a moment where she had none left. And me? I was done asking questions. She snatched the suitcase from the bed, didn't say another word, and stormed out. The front door slammed so hard, the picture frame in the hallway rattled. You're throwing everything away, she shouted from the porch. Then her car pulled out of the driveway like she was chasing something. I didn't chase her. I didn't call. I just stood there for a minute, staring at the door like it might open again. It didn't. That night, I slept on the couch. Not because I had to, because the bed smelled like her perfume. and I couldn't stand it. The house was too quiet, too still. Her absence was loud as hell. I didn't eat, couldn't. Every time I opened the fridge, all I saw were things she bought. Her oat milk, her pre-cut fruit, those dumb little yogurt drinks she claimed helped her gut health. I shut the door and let my stomach twist. On day 2, I skipped work, just called off and sat at the kitchen table, phone face down, unread texts piling up from buddies wondering what was up. I didn't respond, didn't feel like talking to anyone. That night, I Googled divorce attorneys. I found a guy 10 minutes away, some gruff-sounding guy named Reynolds with a no BS website. The next morning, I drove down and sat in a leather chair that squeaked every time I shifted. He asked what happened. I gave him the short version. Vegas, suitcase, door slam. He leaned back. She abandoned the marital home. That matters in Ohio. Abandoned. She packed a bag and left voluntarily, he said, jotting something down. You didn't force her out. That gives you standing. I nodded slowly. It didn't make me feel better. On the third day, I woke up to a text. Dana, I miss you. Just those 3 words. No apology. No explanation. I stared at it for a minute, locked my phone, and tossed it across the couch. An hour later, she showed up at my job. I was on site, mid-pour, concrete setting faster than we liked thanks to the heat, when my phone buzzed again. My foreman waved me over. Some ladies up front asking for you, he said. I walked around to the main trailer, and there she was, hair pulled back, sunglasses on, standing like she didn't know what else to do. Receptionist looked at me. Your wife. I shook my head. Don't have one. I turned and walked out without another glance. The next day, she tried texting from a different number. I blocked it. Then another one. Blocked that too. By the end of the week, she was showing up at random places. The grocery store, the gas station near the job site, once at the gym parking lot, just sitting in her car like she was trying to build up the nerve. She didn't look like the Dana I knew anymore. She looked like someone trying to sell themselves a version of life that didn't exist. And me? I was done buying. I was grabbing eggs at Kroger when she came up behind me. I'd seen the car in the parking lot, a white Altima that looked too clean for a weekday. My gut told me it was hers, but I brushed it off. Didn't matter. I was just there to get groceries. Then I heard her voice. Travis. I turned. She looked smaller than I remembered. No makeup, hoodie, hair in a loose bun like she hadn't slept right in days. Please, she said. Can we just talk? I didn't move, didn't nod, just stared. She glanced around like she was afraid someone might be watching. I was wrong, she said, voice low. About all of it. Vegas. The stuff I said. I didn't know what I was doing. You knew exactly what you were doing, I said. She stepped closer, lowering her voice more. My friends, they gave me terrible advice. They didn't understand us. They never got it. I picked up the eggs, dropped them in my basket. Where are those friends now? She opened her mouth, closed it again, then let out a breath. Kelsey's dating a bartender who's already cheated on her twice, she muttered. Bree got back with her ex. You remember that guy who used to scream at her in the driveway? Yeah, him. And Tasha moved to Atlanta. Said this town was dead energy. I raised an eyebrow. So they bailed. Dana looked down. They said I was killing the vibe. Told me I was too emotional and bringing down the group. Said I needed to figure my own shit out. I let out a short laugh. So now you're here. She looked up at me again, eyes red but dry. Yeah, because I realized I threw away the one good thing I had. I let people who don't even know what real love is get in my head. I stared at her for a second. Let the silence drag. You let them replace your own voice, I said. You started quoting them like scripture. Everything out of your mouth was some recycled take from girls who can't hold a relationship longer than a weekend. I know, she said quickly. I know. I let myself get caught up in their mess. I thought I wanted what they had, but it was all fake, all surface-level crap. She looked at me like she wanted to fall into my chest and cry, but I didn't move. I want us back, she said. I want to fix this. I'll do anything. I shook my head slowly. No, Dana, it's too late. Why? She said, voice cracking. Because I messed up? Because I got lost for a while. That's what marriage is, right? You fight for it when it gets hard. No, I said, steady. Marriage is what you don't throw away when things are boring. It's what you protect when people try to pull you out of it. You walked out the second life, stopped being shiny. I made a mistake, she whispered. It wasn't a mistake, I said. You made a choice. You stood in my kitchen and told me you might sleep with someone else. Then you dare me to stop you. She took a step back, like the weight of it finally hit. I adjusted the basket in my hand. You wanted freedom. You got it. I walked past her, straight to checkout. She didn't follow. She showed up at the house that night. I heard the knock around 9. Thought it might be a neighbor or a package screw-up. But when I opened the door, there she was. Hoodie soaked from the rain, face streaked with tears, like some washed-out version of the woman I used to know. I didn't know what I was doing, she said, voice cracking right out the gate. I swear to God, Travis, I didn't mean to destroy us. I didn't let her in. I stepped outside and pulled the door halfway shut behind me. You knew exactly what you were doing, I said. You just didn't care at the time. She shook her head fast, hands clenched at her sides. I thought I wanted more. I thought I was missing something. You were missing something, I said. Accountability. She broke down then, hands to her face, sobbing, shoulders shaking so hard I almost flinched. I didn't realize what I had, she said through her hands. I had everything. I was just too blind to see it. Please, Travis, I'm begging you, just give me one more shot. I'll go to therapy. I'll do anything you want. Please. I let the silence hang. I wanted to feel sympathy, maybe even hope, but I didn't. You didn't just think about doing damage, I said. You did it. You acted on it. You stood in front of me and told me you wanted to sleep with other men, like that was a normal thing to say to your husband. She looked up, mascara bleeding down her cheeks. I didn't do anything in Vegas. I swear. That's not the point, I said. You were ready to. That's all I needed to know. She reached for me. I stepped back. I'm not that person anymore, she said, panic creeping in now. They messed with my head. I let them steer me, but I'm back now. I see it clearly. No, I said. You see the consequences. That's different. She sniffled hard. You don't think we can fix it? No, I said flat. We can't rebuild something you burned down. Her mouth opened like she wanted to argue, then shut again. I never stopped loving you, she said. I stared at her. You loved me enough to keep me around, but not enough to respect the commitment you made. She nodded slowly, tears still falling. So this is it. This isn't about a mistake, I said. This was a choice. 100 little choices. And now this is mine. I opened the door just enough to slide back inside. Take care of yourself, Dana. And I shut it. The divorce took 6 months. She tried dragging it out, claiming she was emotionally manipulated, saying she wasn't in the right headspace when she left. Her lawyer threw everything at the wall, but Reynolds handled it clean. She had no leg to stand on. She abandoned the marital home, admitted wanting an open marriage in text, and I never cheated, never raised my voice, never laid a hand on her. The judge looked bored the whole time. I kept the house, kept the truck. She kept her name. That was about it. After the paperwork was signed, I didn't feel relief. Not right away, just quiet, like standing in an empty room after someone moves out. No noise, but you still hear the echo. I spent the first couple months figuring out what life alone really meant. I went back to sleeping in the bed, got rid of the wine glasses, cleared the patio furniture she and her friends used to crowd like they were doing a talk show. I cooked again, real meals, not just frozen crap, played music I liked, drove with the windows down, little things, but they added up. Eventually, I met Natalie. It wasn't fast. We talked for weeks before we even met up. She was a nurse, worked crazy shifts, barely had time for anything, but always found a way to text back. No games, no vague half-flirting, just honesty. Our first date was tacos. She showed up in sneakers and laughed with her whole face. By the end of dinner, I knew I wasn't in the same universe I'd been in with Dana. Natalie didn't post her life on Instagram, didn't need constant validation. She worked hard, slept little, and still had more kindness in her than anyone I'd known in years. We got married last summer. Just a courthouse wedding. Simple, clean, no drama. She looked at me afterward and said, "Why would I want to share you?" That hit me harder than anything Dana ever said. Not because it was flashy, but because it was so obvious. Like, duh, that's love. You don't share it. You don't risk it. You protect it. Dana still texts. Not often. Birthdays, Christmas. Once on what would have been our anniversary. I never reply. Last I heard, she was still single. Kelsey was out of the picture. Bree moved out of state. Tasha was off the grid. Dana told a mutual friend that guys these days don't commit, that they just want casual, that she's tired of starting over. I didn't laugh. I didn't gloat. I just listened and nodded and finished my beer. Because here's the truth, she got exactly what she asked for. She asked for freedom. She got it. She asked for perspective. She got that too. She wanted the door open. I opened it, and I never looked back. Sometimes, out of nowhere, I hear it again. Her voice. That night. What if we opened up the marriage? Not angry, not emotional, just casual, like she was pitching a movie to watch. That one sentence changed everything. It didn't end with cheating. It didn't end with some screaming match or dramatic scene. It ended with a question, a quiet moment where she made it crystal clear I wasn't enough. She thought I was controlling, because I believed marriage meant commitment. That's what stuck with me the longest. That being loyal, showing up every day, and expecting the same back somehow made me the villain. But now I wake up next to someone who actually values what we have. Someone who sees marriage as something to protect, not something to renegotiate whenever life gets stale. Natalie doesn't need constant freedom because she's not stuck. She chose this. She chose me, and I chose her. No blurred lines. No open-ended expectations. No group chat full of single girls telling her she's missing out. Dana wanted space. She got it. She wanted to breathe. She's breathing just fine now. In an apartment by herself, still swiping on apps, still wondering why no one sticks around. And me? I'm building a life. Real life. Steady. Honest. No drama. The more I think about it, the more I see it for what it really was. She didn't want more. She just didn't want to be bored. But love isn't a highlight reel. It's the grind. It's the routines. It's showing up even when it's quiet. Especially when it's quiet. She chased a fantasy. I kept my dignity. Turns out, I wasn't the problem. I was just the grown-up in the room. And grown-ups don't share their marriage.